Are you ready for war? Notice the headlines: Trump administration putting Iran on notice. Now, there's been a long agenda against Iran. Remember, they were saying Iran's trying to get nuclear weapons. This is the same narrative, but just being pushed at a later date. It kind of went silent for a long time. But now Iran's back in the picture. And I'll tell you what's going on. They're trying to overthrow Syria and then Iran. But their attempts in Syria didn't go too well. And now you'll see that, the fight's still going on. Look down here. Syrian army confirms more gains against the Daesh. So the fight's still going on. Syria is still overrunning the ISIS fighters there, the militants. And Donald Trump's presidency has already, his regime has already delivered SUVs to ISIS, or to the anti-Syria militants, if you will, already. And so the same thing is going on where the U.S. is supporting the fighters that are overthrowing Assad's regime. So we have the same narrative unfolding. We have the same playbook. It's just, just a different puppet is what I'm really believing is going on here. Man, it sucks. Let's look at these headlines. Let's watch some of this right here.
Recent Iranian actions involving a provocative ballistic missile launch and an attack against a Saudi naval vessel conducted by Iran-supported Houthi militants underscore what should have been clear to the international community all along about Iran's destabilizing behavior across the entire Middle East.
These are some threatening words. They're basically saying Iran's a lost cause. It should have been clear to everybody all along how dangerous they are. Iran, test launched a medium-range ballistic missile, and Iran saying, it's not for nuclear missiles. They're not doing it for that. But the U.S. and Israel and such are saying that it's a violation of the agreement that they had. And so they're basically saying Iran has violated this nuclear arms agreement. And he also blamed here, you heard him say that Iran attacked a Saudi vessel, a Saudi ship. Well, what happened was the Houthis, which are purportedly backed by Iran, attacked a Saudi ship off the coast of Yemen, where Saudi Arabia has been bombing the crap out of Yemen for a long time now. And so it wasn't just like, oh, let's go bomb a fishing boat. This was a military vessel off the coast of Yemen where Saudi Arabia is performing military activity. So this is hardly something profound like they're trying to make it out to be. And remember, whenever they're creating the narrative, that's because they have an agenda. So what we see here is not a narrative per se. It's not events unfolding that a narrative is responding to. It is a narrative unfolding that the events are being fit together in order to unfold that narrative. In other words, this is a plan. This isn't events being responded to. This is a plan unfolding. And the plan is to overthrow Iran, to overthrow Syria. These two nations here, they don't have Rothschild central banks. And this is all, I believe, at the highest levels, Russia, the U.S., I believe at the highest levels there's collusion. That's what I believe, that this one world order, this new world order, there's collusion at the highest levels. And that Russia has a Rothschild bank, a central bank. The U.S. has a Rothschild central bank. So
the recent ballistic missile launch is also in defiance of UN Security Council Resolution 2231, which calls upon Iran not to undertake any activity related to ballistic missiles designed to be capable of delivering nuclear weapons, including launches using such ballistic missile technology. These are just the latest of a series of incidents in the past 6 months in which Houthi forces that Iran has trained and armed have struck Emirati and Saudi vessels and threaten United States and allied vessels transiting the Red Sea. Indeed,
you just try to make it sound like they're just rolling across the Red Sea, minding their own business. Saudi Arabia's been bombing the crap out of Yemen.
these and other similar activities, Iran continues to threaten U.S. friends and allies in the region. The Obama administration failed to respond adequately to Tehran's malign actions, including weapons transfers, support for terrorism, and other violations of international norms. The Trump administration condemns such actions by Iran that undermine security, prosperity, and stability throughout and beyond the Middle East, and which places American lives at risk. President Trump has severely criticized the various agreements reached between Iran and the Obama administration, as well as the United Nations, as being weak and ineffective. Instead of being thankful to the United States in these agreements, Iran is now feeling emboldened. As of today, we are officially putting Iran on notice. Thank you.
Putting Iran on notice. Now, Iran hasn't done anything, honestly. They haven't done anything. You know, they test fired a missile. Everybody does that. They test fired a medium-range missile. And they're saying, hey, it's not for nuclear purposes. The Houthi rebels reportedly attacked a Saudi Arabian vessel off the coast of Yemen, where Saudi Arabia is bombing the crap out of Yemen. You know, so this is, like I said, this is an agenda unfolding, putting Iran on notice. What does that mean? I'll tell you my interpretation of it. They were trying to overthrow Syria. Didn't go too well with the proxy war using the rebels, and now they're about to go hot in Syria. Remember that Israel bombed this Syrian military airport. Remember that? Outside of Damascus. So they're really about to hit Syria hard, is what I believe. And they're putting Iran on notice because Iran and Syria have a mutual defense pact. So if Syria goes to open war, Iran will help them. They're allies. And so before there's an open war on Syria, they're putting Iran on notice saying, hey, we're ready to blow you out of the water too if you want to do something. And so I believe what we're about to see here is not Iran get attacked, but Syria get lit up really heavy. And that's what Bible prophecy talks about. Isaiah 17:1, I believe it is, says that Damascus will be a heap of ruins. Here, let's listen to Netanyahu talk about Iran for a second.
To the rulers of Iran, your plan to destroy Israel will fail. Israel will not permit any force on earth to threaten its future. And here's my message to all the countries represented here. Whatever resolutions you may adopt in this building, whatever decisions you may take in your capitals, Israel will do whatever it must do to defend our state and to defend our people.
Remember that when the UN said that the West Bank settlements of Israel were illegal, they condemned them, that the U.S. didn't veto it, but Netanyahu came out and said it's a joke, it's a last gasp before the future sets in. Remember that? I made a video on that. But John Kerry came out after that and basically said, there has to be a two-state solution, basically putting Israel's back against the wall. But then he said, but we have common ground with the Arabs, and that is the opposition to Iran. And so I spoke on that Israel was basically being given an olive branch and saying, hey, your back's against the wall, but if you'll link up with Saudi Arabia, and the Arab nations and oppose Iran, then we have commonality and you'll get some concessions. And listen to what he says here. He basically speaks on this exact same thing. Listen.
Ladies and gentlemen, Israel is working closely with our Arab peace partners to address our common security challenges from Iran and all.
Arab peace partners. Maybe I missed it, but I don't recall such language being used before. Maybe so. Arab peace partners against Iran. Remember John Kerry's speech? I made a video on it. So now it's the Arabs, Israel, and the United States against Iran.
Also, the security challenges from ISIS and from others. We're also working with other states in the Middle East.
Now, when they say ISIS, that's just basically saying Syria. Okay. That they're saying we're going to attack Syria. So he's saying working with them against Syria and Iran.
As well as countries in Africa, in Asia, and beyond. Many in our region know that both Iran and ISIS are our common enemies. And when your enemies fight each other, don't strengthen either one, weaken both.
Okay, so no, we're not going to focus on just, fighting ISIS. We're going to kill them all. Iran, Syria, Assad. It ain't one or the other. We're going to kill them all.
Common dangers are clearly bringing Israel and its Arab neighbors closer. And as we work together to thwart those dangers, I hope we'll build lasting partnerships for security, for prosperity, and for peace. But in Israel, we never forget one thing. We never forget that the most important partner that Israel has always been and will always be the United States of America.
So, the U.S., remember Trump's moving the U.S. embassy in Israel to Jerusalem. Basically, Palestine has said, we ain't going to accept it. That's going to destroy the two-state solution, quote unquote. Basically pitting the U.S., Israel, and the Arab nations against the world. Here, you see Mattis reaffirms commitment to THAAD ahead of South Korea visit. China has objected to the THAAD, the anti-ballistic missile system being placed in South Korea. They say that's endangering them, but the Trump's presidency is going along with it. They're going ahead with it. Britain is getting closer to actually exiting the European Union. These are huge stories here. I mean, we are getting ready to see war. Remember the Economist World in 2017 magazine cover. Remember what it showed. World War III, the Third World War is depicted by Albert Pike. Let's see here. Yeah. Now, they've actually changed this, and they took Trump off, and they put an eagle where Trump is. But it's coming. Not just war, but the Third World War that will be followed by the revelation of the Antichrist, the doctrine of Lucifer. And that's what they're showing you here, is war, destruction, and bringing the world together under one religion. So, we're definitely in the stages. We're about to see war pop off, and they're saber rattling. I think what we're going to see next, maybe a false flag blamed on ISIS, and then that be used as the catalyst to really hit Syria hard. And now, having put Iran on notice, knowing that Iran will, back their ally. So, I mean, it's just going to escalate and escalate. But I think what we're going to see next is probably maybe a false flag blamed on ISIS, and then Syria hit hard, or Maybe just Syria hit hard in general, but I don't think we're going to see Iran hit first, but probably Syria really hit hard. That's just my take on it. So let's be prayerful. Let's be prayerful. Hallelujah. Let's stay in touch with God. These are the last days, and things could literally pop off at any moment.